Carol, what do I do when I get to the end of a row? Sorry? Oh, hello Connections friends. Hello from Carol and myself, and I hope you're all well. Let's start with some good news. I'm really pleased to report that Marjorie is now home from hospital. And we wish a happy birthday to Sylvia Norwood for the 9th of June. And I'm getting some feedback on the content of these weekly vlogs, and mostly, thankfully, encouraging, but not always. For example, one person said, "Everyone has a right to be silly, but you're abusing the privilege." And somebody else said, "If I promise to miss you, will you go away?" And from a very good friend, let's call her Pamela B, she just simply said, "Oh Stuart, you are such a nutter." Well, one of the most valuable things one of my school teachers said to me was, don't get upset by criticism, because after all, what it means is that somebody at least has noticed what you did. Well, I'm now going to say something which will at least sound intelligent and edifying. It's from a work called An Essay on Criticism, written by the 18th century English satirical poet Alexander Pope. He said this: "A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep, or taste not the Pierian spring. While from the bounded level of our mind short views we take, nor see the lengths behind." That bit of prose has for me a special significance in my life, because as a 14-year-old schoolboy I got into trouble once. What, you say, only got into trouble once? Well, I do recall prior to that, to my great embarrassment, being asked by my primary school teacher to use the word benign in a sentence, and I answered, "I am 8, but I will soon be 9. Well, back to the poem by Alexander Pope that once got me into trouble and had a big impact on me, not only on my mind but also on my behind, because I and 30 other classmates were told to commit to memory that poem for homework. Thinking that our English teacher would forget what he'd set us to do, we didn't bother, any of us. But unfortunately he did remember, and consequently, as none of us had learned it, he gave us all 3 strokes of the cane. Ah, the cane, those were the days. And the great irony of this story, of course, is that the title of the piece by Pope was "A Little Learning is a Dangerous Thing." I wonder whether you have an inquiring mind. Do you want to learn new things? Do you want to ponder the great questions of our age? Such as, if a black box in an aeroplane is indestructible, why can't they make the whole aeroplane out of the same material? If you get cheated by the Office for Fair Trading, who do you complain to? And I have questions sometimes about words and the language we use. If you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed by something, why can't you simply be whelmed? If you try to fail at something but actually succeed, what have you done? Why does the word monosyllabic contain 5 syllables? Why is abbreviation such a long word? Why is the fear of long words called hippopotomonstrosis cupideliophobia? If you were to wear a radio aerial when you attended a wedding, would the reception be better? If an orchestra receives a thunderous applause, should it have a lightning conductor? If a deep-sea diver gets chickenpox, does he come up to scratch? What is the great question of our time? An internet magazine called Mental Floss identified what it thought to be the 25 most important questions of our time. And one of the top questions was this: is there one move in the rock paper, scissors game which is more likely to win. There actually is a world rock, paper, scissors society. And the society keeps track of how common certain moves or choices are, particularly as they relate to mentions of the game in popular culture. For instance, after the screening of an episode of The Simpsons, where Bart Simpson beats Lisa Simpson with rock and thinks to himself, good old rock, nothing beats it, the society recorded a 0.3% upswing in the use of rock. And then there are children's questions to God, letters to God. Dear God, did you mean for the giraffe to look like that, or was it an accident? Dear God, instead of letting people die and having to make new ones, why don't you just keep the ones you have now? And why does it mean you are a jealous God when I thought you had everything anyway? And God, did you really mean do unto others as they do unto you? Because if you did, then I'm really going to fix my little brother. For thousands of years, mankind has questioned the origins of human life and the nature of the cosmos. Over the years, great philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle wondered about such questions as, what is the meaning of life on earth? What were the circumstances that cause us to wonder about why we're here? Is there some kind of supreme being who is responsible for creating the universe? Or is it just a fortuitous accident that out of nothing the cosmos has been formed and intelligent life has evolved on what we call planet Earth? I have my own answer, my own belief. It's based on what I think is the most important question. It's a question put by a truly remarkable young 30-year-old man some 2,000 years ago to a group of his best friends. This man was known as Jesus of Nazareth. And he asked his friends, his followers, who do people say I am? His friends answered, some say you're John the Baptist, others say you're one of the prophets of long ago who's been brought back to life. But Jesus came straight to the point by saying, but what about you? Who do you say I am? A question which echoes down the centuries. What about us? What about you? What about me? Who do we say he is? You see, I just quoted a story from the Bible, and I find it a bit frustrating that so often people criticise Christianity or have an opinion from a limited or ill-founded knowledge base, often never having read or even looked at the Bible. Make up your own mind, sure, have an opinion, sure, but your views will be so much more valid if you first fully investigated the issues. As Alexander Pope put it, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or taste not. At Connections, we've had a few sessions called Brunch and the Big Questions, when a number of us have stayed behind after our usual meeting and had an early lunch together, followed by discussing some key questions of faith, such as, is there a God? Who is Jesus? Why did Jesus have to die? How can I be sure of my faith? And folk have found these sessions really helpful, and we will certainly be continuing with them when we get to resume our meetings. The Christian author C.S. Lewis wrote this: a man who was merely a man and said the sorts of things that Jesus said would not just be a great moral teacher. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God, but you must make your choice. But even before Connections and Brunch and the Big Questions get started again, let me really strongly recommend Woodside Church's online weekly Alpha course, which is starting on Tuesday the 16th of June at 7:45. It's a great introduction to Christianity, led by Toby and Debs. Just look on the Woodside Church website for details of how you can sign up. Earlier I mentioned questions children had for God, but it's not always children learning from adults about God. You see, Jessica was a 7-year-old, and one Monday morning the teacher asked Jessica's class what they'd been doing over the weekend. Jessica's hand shot up and said, "Please miss, I went to church and I learned all about Jonah being swallowed by a big fish." The teacher said, "Jessica, some people claim it was a whale rather than a big fish, but either way, you know, it's just not possible, because even the biggest whale couldn't possibly swallow a person." "But miss," said Jessica, "it's definitely true. We learned all about it in church, and to prove it, when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask Jonah all about it." "Ah," said the teacher, "but what if Jonah has gone to hell?" Quick as a flash, Jessica responded, "In that case, miss, you ask him." A little learning is a dangerous thing. Now, where's that crocheting of mine?